Well, hello guys, ¿qué pasa? What's up? I'm Antonio Serrano here, and today I have one video for you that's one of my favorite kinds of video to film. It's my top 5 of a very specific kind of magic. If you ask me to choose one of my routines and spend my whole life only performing that one routine, I would probably choose my chop cup routine. That's my choice today. Maybe a couple of days in the future I create or I find an incredible routine and I would choose that. But for now, I think that my go-to routine, if I want to impress a crowd and I want to show them something hysterical and magical, it's always the chop cup. It's a routine that gives so much freedom to improvise, to put yourself in it, create your own pattern, combine it with other tricks. I love combining the chop cup with built-in fruit. I love combining the chop cup with Earth shoe by Paul Harris. I always like to produce something from my shoe as an end for the chop cup routine. I love producing a rock from the shoe, but it always seems like a very short effect. It looks like a gag, like a throw-off thing. But when I use that trick to finish a chop cup, what I normally do is producing 2 pieces of fruit and go, where is the ball? Where is the ball? And the ball appears inside of my shoe, and I say, but this was not the thing that was bothering me. The thing that was bothering me was this big rock, and I produce the rock out of the shoe. So it's a great routine to combine it with other things, and probably will be my go-to routine if I could only perform one trick for life. Today, we are not talking about my routine, we are talking about my top 5 routines using a chop cup from other outstanding and masters of illusions. So I've got here my mobile phone with some notes. At number 5, I've got Martin Lewis Can of Peace. I think that also the name was the $2 chop cup or something like that, because he says that that is the money that it costs to make the chop cup. And basically he performs a chop cup routine using a can of peas, and he explains that to make that can of peas you need Pringles cans. And I've got here a whole collection of chop cups that I've been using. These are 2 normal Pringle cans that I use when I perform my chop cup routine for family audiences. The cool thing about this is that they are completely examinable because they are normal Pringles cans. So I owe this to Martin Lewis 100%. These are completely normal. It's very difficult to find this side of Pringle can with the new logo, and I prefer this because if you produce a fruit or a tennis ball, which is what I normally do, it fits perfectly. Like a tennis ball or a piece of fruit is exactly the capacity of this container. In this case, it's much bigger, so you need 2 bigger loads. So at the end of the routine, when you place the 2 things, the 2 loads inside, people are like, yeah, it's impossible for them to fit. So I love this. I love the fact that they have a lid, so you can put everything inside and it's self-contained. So I really like that. And this goes to the great Martin Lewis routine, where he uses a can of peas and peas as the balls and produces extremely large peas at the end. It's great, a great routine, right? Number 4, I have Don Allen chop cup routine. Basically the granddad, the godfather of all chop cup routines. And I've got here this chop cup that I bought extremely cheaply from Amazon. I don't like the balls. I think that I talked about that before in other routines, in other videos, that I don't like the usual crochet balls that most magicians use. I normally use this tinfoil balls. Nobody questions them. Nobody questions that they are a gimmick in any way, shape or form, even though they are. And I love this chop cup. It was extremely cheap. It's not very well finished, has some dents and things like that, but it's great to perform Don Allen's routine. The first 2 phases, or kind of a little bit the second phase of my routine, comes straight from Don Allen's routine, which is great. Something that I love about the Don Allen's routine is that in his explanation he says, okay, let me tell you how I load these 2 tennis balls under the cup. It's like the bit with the small ball and all that stuff, that's useless from the crowd point of view. what the crowd is going to remember, the crazy thing about this trick, the core about this routine is loading the two big balls, the final loads under the cup. Don Allen understood that perfectly. Like, this is the thing, right? And keeping on that note, my number 3 chop cup routine is Mark James. I love Mark James. What a great comedy magician. Great on close-up, great on stage, very well thinker. I already talked about his podcast, Talking Shtick, on Spotify. I think that he stopped doing that, but all the episodes are there. You can listen to them. They are great. And the reason why I have Mark James in number 3, in the position number 3, is because of one move. And it is the move when you load the ball on top of the cup. All of the routines that I have using a chop cup, in the books that I own, in the lectures that I have, all of the DVDs that I have, the only magician that I have seen doing that move over and over and over is Mark James. And I do that move in my routine. It's one of the moves that I have to rehearse and I have to work the most in my whole career. I think that I never practiced a move as much as that. I remember being with my girlfriend in a restaurant or something like that, and I practiced the move using the glass of water that I have in the restaurant and a paper ball. I was always practicing that move, and let me tell you something, it is worth it. I talk about Don Allen routine, and I have said that Don Allen knew that everyone was going to remember the big loads. The thing about the chop cup is the big loads. Well, let me tell you something. If you do the move of loading the ball on top of the cup without the audience noticing, people will remember that move as much as the final loads. If you don't know what I'm talking about, basically you have the ball and you say to the audience, okay, which hand is it? And then you open your hands, there is no ball in your hand, and you say the ball is on top of the cup. And when they look down or to the side, they see the cup and the ball on top. And it's like, there is no cover. The final loads are great because they are big, but they are covered. They are under the cup, right? But the ball on top of the cup is completely visible. And people love that, right? So I think that most magicians don't do that because they are scared. The only elements are the cup and the ball, and you need to have very strong misdirection to make people not look at the two items, right? Because to load the ball on top of the cup, you need people to be looking at another thing that is not the ball and it is not the cup. Most magicians do that move in cups and balls routine, like Michael Lamar, Francis Menotti, and I think that is because it's easier. It's easier because you don't have another cup, you don't have another ball or the magic wand to distract people. If you want to do that move using the chop cup, you need to have very good misdirection, right? And it is worth it. You don't know the amount of times that people have told me, oh my God, I love the cup trick. And I was like, yeah, the fruit at the end is very good. And they go, no, the moment when the ball appeared on top, that's what killed me. That's what did it to me. And I'm like, yeah, that's strong. That moment is strong. So only for that reason, Mark James routine, outstanding routine, not only because of that move. The whole routine is great, but only because of that, Mark James routine has to be number 3. If you know any magician, any working magician that does that move regularly of loading the ball on top of the cup, I know it's not original from Mark James, but if you know any magician that does that move in a chop cup routine, I would love to know it, to know about him or her, because it's a great move. It's a move that it's a reputation maker, 100%. Okay, number 2, I have Mac King guinea pig routine. And if you take a look at that, the guinea pig routine is all about the guinea pig. The guinea pig appear, it's extremely funny, but in essence, it's a chop cup. In a lot of routines, Mac King has said, I take all routines, like a rope routine, like a beetle inside of a nest of boxes or inside a fruit, like cars across, and I made it my own. And for the guinea pig trick, I simply made my own a chop cup. So I don't have a lot to say about this, you just have to see it. You can see it being performed on Fulas, and it is an outstanding chop cup routine, extremely well thought of. I've got here 2 more chop cups that I haven't shown you, and these are chop cups that I made myself. This is a tin that you normally use to make some kind of pastries, right? And this is a shaker tin, a cocktail shaker. I only use the bottom part of it, and I gimmick them. If they can stand slight examination, but I normally use them on cabaret or stage performances, and they are very good. Very good. I don't really like this cup because it's pretty tall. I like how tall it is. I prefer chop cups that are a little bit taller. I don't like the very short ones. But the reason why I don't like this one is because if you want to fit a very big load, like for example an orange, it is not filling the whole space. It's like the orange falls till here because it is tapered, right? It's like a pyramid, right? It's not like this where the whole space can be filled by the orange, or like this, right? Or I love this one because in this kind of cup you can fit like a potato, something like some kinds of avocados, lemons that are small, and they basically fill the whole space because they are not that tapered. This one is here is extremely fat, and here it is extremely thin, so it is very difficult to find something that fills the whole cup. But I really like it. It's pretty shiny, pretty good looking, and extremely cheap. If you know how to gimmick a chop cup, it's a very extremely cheap. If you know how a chop cup works, you just have to buy a Pringles can and some tin foil and the secret you know what, if you know how they work, and you have a great routine. You have to put the work in, you have to put the effort in, but you have a great routine. Okay, so before number one, we already talked about number two. Before number one, probably a lot of you already know what number one is. Let's talk about some honorable mentions. I've got here David Regal with Herman the Mouse. My best friend is the name of the routine. He basically does a chop cup routine, but instead of a ball, he uses a little toy mouse. And that's great. Everyone does sponge balls routines, close up. But you know that if you do, instead of using, if you do the same routine that you normally do with sponge balls, but with sponge rabbits, the reactions are much bigger, simply because the objects are appealing and emotional and cute. So the same thing is what David Regal, the master, the legend David Regal, does in this routine. He changes the ball, the non-significant ball, for a mouse. Extremely well thought of. Michael Kent. I love Michael Kent routines where the hook line is being honest. I want to do a trick without lying, and he does the chop cup without lying, and he produces an orange. Yeah, I forgot to tell you that this trick is about food, about fruit. Oh, sorry, I lied, because here is a potato, so it is great. And he also has a wand, and the wand changes, and everything is related to being honest. So it is great, and that's a great way to make a routine unique. Have a narrative thread, something that you talk about through the whole routine. Don't just talk about the thing you are doing. I have here a ball and a cup and the ball vanishes, now the ball is here. Don't explain what you are doing, right? Tell us something. So that's a great example from Michael Kent with the honest magic. We also have from Spain, some magicians that you may well not know. We have Ricardo Rodriguez. Great magician. His work on the chop cup is outstanding, and something that I took from his routine is avoid the pocket. He talks in his book how he doesn't like the pocket, like I have the ball and I put the ball in the pocket, and he doesn't like that. So he has a routine that is very well scripted to use the pocket at least the least possible. Very good routine. And also Gaby Paredes. Great magician, very smooth magician. You can burn his hands and you are not going to see a thing. Gaby Paredes has an incredible smooth and clean chop cup routine. And also I have here Michael O'Brien, strolling chop cup, great. And obviously Craig Petty chop, where he can use any cup, a plastic cup, styrofoam cup, paper cup, anything you want, and a crumble up bill, dollar bill or whatever. Great routine, chop by Craig Petty. So those are my honorable mentions. I hope that you discover a new magician that you never heard before. And let's go to number one. And number one goes to Paul Daniels. Obviously, Paul Daniels' routine is great. Paul Daniels is another magician that understood perfectly how to entertain a crowd, and how the ball and the cap is not the most important thing. The most important thing is the connection with the audience and the final loads. Something that I love, and how simple it is. I think that Teller from Penn and Teller said that one of his routines that he sees as a perfection, as a solid, perfect routine, was the chop cup by Paul Daniels. And it is true. It's perfectly thought out, all of the lines, all of the beats, how he changes from a skill using normal balls to the mechanical secret of the chop cup is great, because it is impossible to catch it. And he explained this in great detail in his DVD Bravura. If you change between automatic methods and skill methods, people don't know what to expect, right? So I think that's everything that I would like to talk to you, to tell you about chop cups. If I forgot about an incredible or an interesting chop cup routine, let me know in the comments below, and I see you in the near future. Bye there.